recorded to the cloud. All right, I think we'll get started. It's 4 o'clock on my computer. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tia Clayson. I am the Education Outreach Coordinator for the University of Minnesota's Data Science and AI Hub and Research Computing. Welcome to our information session on Under the Hood, the Machine Learning and AI Summer Program, which will be held in July of this year. I have a wonderful team with me who has been intricately involved in iterations of this summer program in years past. And so I'd like to introduce Annika von Sieger, Shelby Zaccardi, and Gary Hatfield, who will all be participating and supporting the information session today. Our agenda is as follows: a little welcome and some key information. We'll talk a little bit about the curriculum. We'll give you some more specifics on the when and the where. We'll give you a snapshot on the day in the life. We'll talk through student support and safety, which is always utmost of importance to us. We'll talk a little bit about registration, which will be going live later this week, and then there will be some time for questions. We do have some FAQs that we're going through first, so hopefully some of your questions will be answered as we go through. So some welcome and some key information for you. The goal of this summer program is to teach high school students, and we are focusing on 11th and 12th grade students, to implement machine learning techniques. We will be utilizing a lot of hands-on learning, a lot of hands-on projects that have meaningful impact and meaningful learning to the student, some real-world data sets, and then we are bringing in professional guest speakers as well. Like I said before, it is for rising 11th and 12th grade students who obviously have taken algebra, but there is no prior code experience necessary. Our summer programs, the beginning program, week 1 is the beginning program, will run from July 13th through July 17th. And then the advanced program, which is week 2, will run from July 20th through the 24th. Both of those, it's a Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Week 1 will have an all-girls session, as we do prioritize getting female and non-binary identifying students into AI and data science. And the other thing that you will probably want to know is that you don't have to sign up for both weeks. You can sign up for week 1 only, but please understand that week 2 will require the experience in week 1. So I'm going to turn it over to Annika to talk a little bit more about the learning and the curriculum that will be used.
Yeah, thanks, Tia. So I figured we would start before getting into the topics that we're going to cover, just getting some common language, because AI and machine learning can mean a lot of different things to different people. So when we say AI, we mean any system that involves computers making decisions from information. And that can go back to examples like the Deep Blue chess engine, which was a computer program in the 90s. Tia, would you mind advancing to see if that makes the example pop up? Oh, thank you. So this one wasn't an AI system like ChatGPT. Its programmers gave it the rules of chess, and then it just kind of brute force crunched through a bunch of possible next moves, and was able to play a really good chess game in that way. So that's what we mean by artificial intelligence, computers using any kind of information to make decisions. When we say machine learning, we mean when a computer is making decisions based on examples. So instead of giving a computer what the rules of chess are, you let it play a bunch of sample chess games. And that's what we mean by machine learning, and that's what this camp is focused on. And then Gen AI is kind of the AI models that have come out in the last few years, like ChatGPT or Gemini, where you give it a bunch of examples, whether of text or of images, and then the model can generate new examples that look like its training data. So that is not the main focus of our camp. We'll mostly be focused on that second level, the machine learning level. Tia, if you could advance again. Thank you. So getting those terms out of the way, the curriculum that we're planning to cover in week one is an introduction to machine learning curriculum. So we'll be teaching students how to get started programming in Python using common Python tools like Pandas, NumPy, scikit-learn. Um, we'll get them started with exploratory data analysis. So if you get a data set, kind of like where do you start, just kind of figuring out what kind of interesting things are going on with it. We'll cover a bunch of different kinds of supervised learning and unsupervised learning models. So supervised learning is when you kind of give the model the right answer, and then you can grade it on how well it gets, how well it predicts the answer on unseen examples. Then unsupervised learning is when you don't kind of have a correct answer for the model to grade it against. You're trying to learn patterns from the model. So the biggest example here is clustering. So if you have a bunch of raw data of different fruits, maybe we want to be able to separate them into different kinds of fruits. And then every year we have a really great discussion on bias and ethics in AI. So bringing in a lot of current examples about maybe some uses of machine learning and AI that are uh, maybe have some questions about, and we want to discuss those questions in a serious way with the students about how we can um, live with and use these models in a responsible way because there's kind of no getting away from them in 2026. And then we'll also be working on a final project that I'll talk about a little bit more later in the presentation. But in the beginner week, that final project will be the main focus of Thursday and Friday. We also want to emphasize that this program isn't focused on teaching students how to use tools like ChatGPT or Gemini. Um, it is more focused on helping students understand kind of the machine learning techniques that led to these kinds of models. So Tia, if you could advance again. Thank you. So then the second week is a more advanced curriculum, and we're covering deep learning and neural networks. We touch on these very briefly in week one, but then we kind of dive deeper in week two. And these are kind of some of the ideas that underpin like the big models that people use, like Gemini. So we kind of introduce them to some new tools in Python, so PyTorch and some deep learning libraries. We talk about what neural networks are and how they work, and we talk about how there are different versions that are tailored to structured data, so like data that comes in a spreadsheet, that are tailored to images and that are tailored to text, like the big language models. We talk a little bit about how the generative models work. So the first three examples, we kind of focus on that um, supervised learning that I talked about, that we start talking about in week one, where there's kind of a right answer that we want the model to predict. And then we talk about the generative models, which are a really sophisticated example of unsupervised learning. So kind of like learning the pattern of what your data looks like, and then you've learned it so well that you can generate new examples. We also talk a little bit about reinforcement learning. So these are the kinds of models that can play games. So for the last couple of years, we've had a couple of students each year do a really cool final project where they train a model that can play Mario or Tetris kind of superhumanly well. And they use the techniques from reinforcement learning for that. And then we have a new final project that students work on for week two. And this one, these are usually a little bit more involved. And so those projects we start on Wednesday afternoon and are kind of like the main focus for the second half of the week. And just want to reiterate, I know Tia already said, but we would like people to have already taken week one before registering for week two. So if you want to take both weeks this year, that would be great. If we have students who took week one last year and want to return for week two this year, that's also fine. Um, yeah, I think that's all that we have on the curriculum. Tia, if you could advance again. So when and where the camp is happening, Tia said the dates right up front, but doesn't hurt to say them again. July 13th through 17th is week one, and July 20th through 24th is week two. And you people are welcome to register for week one only or to register for both weeks. The camp again will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. Uh, it'll be held at the University of Minnesota's Twin Cities campus. We'll mainly be in Keller Hall, which is this lovely building that you see a picture of on the slide. Um, and there are computer labs in Keller Hall where we'll be doing most of the kind of coding and learning about new topics. And then Tate Hall is just one or two buildings over, and that's where we'll be having lunch. Um, each week, there'll be several sessions or classrooms. As Tia said, week one will have one section that is focused on a supportive environment for girl and gender minority students. Um, but last year we had 3 sessions in week one and 2 sessions in week two. Tia, if you could advance one more slide. Okay, so kind of like what to expect for students who are interested in the program. Um, We usually try to get started with kind of the main activities of the day by 9 a.m. So students are usually trickling in between 8:30 and 9. There is a continental breakfast included with the camp. So there's pastries and bagels every morning for students to get breakfast. Can help them kind of ease into the day from 8:30 to 9. Then from 9 to 12, we're covering new material. We're practicing hands-on coding skills. We always take a break in the middle for a snack and usually a game. And then from 12 to 1, we take a break for lunch. And then from 1 to 3, we kind of dive back into the activities for the afternoon. So a lot of times that I would say maybe tilts a little heavier towards coding than the mornings. But maybe we cover one or two more topics that we didn't get to in the morning. We take another break for a snack, and then we head to our guest speakers from 3 to 4 every day. So this is another, I think, highlight of the camp for a lot of people who participate. We bring in professional guest speakers from who are mostly data scientists or people who are using kind of machine learning AI skills to solve real problems in their jobs. They're working at companies around the Twin Cities like Target or Cargill. And yeah, so a great opportunity for students to like hear from people who are using these skills for real jobs towards the end of the day. And is a nice way to kind of like wrap up each day. Uh, and yeah, so then Fridays will be a little bit different. Tia, if you could advance one more slide. Um, so Friday of each week, we have a presentation for students to showcase their final projects. And these are always really great afternoons. So we start right after lunch and encourage friends and families to come and watch their student present if that works with their schedule. Sometimes the guest speakers come back. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to show off the projects that the students have been working on in the second half of each week. Some examples of some projects that have been done in the past. In the first week, there have been some cool projects that were focused on classifying mushrooms as poisonous or not poisonous, or on identifying people who were more or less likely to survive the Titanic. And then on the second week, in the deep learning and neural network projects, there have been some projects, as I said, about training a model to play games. There have been some interesting mod projects working with image data, where students have pictures of chest x-rays from COVID and are trying to classify them as sick with COVID, sick with something else, or healthy. So yeah, lots of cool options for students to pick from. We try to have a good list of projects that students can pick from, and we've also had a few students who kind of go off list. They have something that they're passionate about, and they really want to do their project on that, and that has pretty much always worked out when we have students who wanted to do that. Yeah, so with that, I will hand it back to Tia to talk about some more student support and logistics information.
Thanks, Annika. So again, student support and safety are utmost to us, forefront of our mind all the time. Like Annika said, we do serve a continental breakfast, so pastries and bagels. Lunch is provided, snacks are provided. We do the best that we can to accommodate dietary restrictions. And that's something that we can work with families as well. And of course, we have water fountains, and so water bottles are always a good thing. Students are responsible for their own transportation to and from campus. Parking on campus is anywhere from $6 to $15 a day, depending on the location of which parking lot you're in. And the campus is accessible by bus and by light rail. And camp registration fees include a transit pass upon request, but you would have to be proactive and request that. Student, again, and I'll let others chime in with this one. Our program materials are available online through Canvas, and so there's an account that the student will be utilizing to access our learning management system. There's full digital accessibility for our online materials. And then we will try to accommodate any other needs that arise upon request. Again, you'll be talking with me or talking with Annika about anything else that you may need support with. Safety, we follow all of the University of Minnesota policies for safety, which includes having an up-to-date emergency plan, staff to student ratios, and of course, we require background checks for all of our staff. And I'll talk about registration. Oops, too fast. Registration, the cost for week one is $125. For week two, it's $175. We have a limited number of fee waivers and scholarships that are available, so you would have to work with us on that. You can register for week one or for both weeks, but please remember week one is a prerequisite for week two. As Annika mentioned earlier, if your student was in week one last year and they would like to do the advanced camp in week two this year, that is perfectly wonderful. We will open registration, I believe, at the end of this week, but it will open sometime within the next week. And obviously, we will close it when it is full. So a couple of FAQs that we want to go through ahead of time to maybe anticipate some questions. So my student is super advanced in math and computing, but they are only 13. Can they still join? Unless they are a junior or senior in high school, this is what we are. This is the student population that we are focused on with these two camps. So no, unless they are a junior or a rising senior in high school. The camp is intended for rising juniors and seniors. We instituted that requirement to ensure that participants have both the academic background and the emotional maturity they need to succeed in this summer program. In the years that we allowed younger students who had strong academic backgrounds to participate, we did see an increase in behavior issues. We want to ensure that this is a really successful experience for all. And so we have returned to requiring that students are juniors or seniors. My student attended week one last year. Can they come back for week two this year? I hope we've established that for yes. Week one is a prerequisite. So if your student took it last year and they want to do week two this year, that's great. My student is going to miss 1 or 2 days of the program due to a family vacation. Is that a problem? Obviously, the learning every day is important. And we want to make sure that our students are getting the best learning experience that they can. So, missing a day or two or having to leave early or arrive late is not a significant problem. However, we do want to articulate that students will be in charge of catching up on the content themselves. The materials are going to be in Canvas. They have access to Canvas, and they're going to have to keep up with the learning. Some days, to be honest, some days are more content heavy than other days, and missing more than one day can make it a little challenging for your student to catch up. So we ask that no matter the circumstance, that participants and their families let the instructors know as soon as they can if they have to miss any or all of a day of a program so that we can account for students at all time. We need to know that they're going to be on campus. Will you be promoting the use of AI for everything? No. Actually, this program is focused on learning how machine learning and AI models work, not on using generative AI models. So when using tools like Google Colab, where generative AI models provide suggestions or auto-completions, we will encourage students to turn those tools off so that they can learn more effectively on their own. We will be discussing the pros and cons of AI, because there are, so that students can make informed decisions. My student already knows Python. Can they skip week one? Nope. Unless they attended week one of the program last year, week one will introduce students to coding in Python, but week one will also cover a lot of ideas from machine learning and data analysis that we will use in week two. And your student might not be familiar with that, even if they already know how to code in Python. Even if they are very comfortable with Python coding and familiar with machine learning concepts, participating in week one, especially working on the project, will strengthen their understanding of the material and practice using Python and machine learning. Will my student need to bring their own lunch? No, lunch will be provided. Again, we hope to accommodate all dietary restrictions and allergies. We were able to do that last year with all the restrictions and allergies that were shared with us last year, including vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and halal options. However, if there's a specific circumstance, you may wish to have your student bring their own lunch. And can parents attend and watch? Parents and family members and caregivers are welcome to attend presentations on Friday afternoon of each week. And outside of that time, we do not have space in the classroom for parents to attend and watch their students. So at this point, I will open it up for any other questions that people may have. I'll stop sharing my screen.
So wonder that if the project can lead the student to write a paper or not.
Uh, the question was, will the student need to write a paper?
The question is that if the project, the final project can lead the student to write a paper or not.
The final project will end with like a slide presentation that we ask the students to spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes presenting. So there won't be a paper component to the final project. Did that answer the question?
Yes, yes. My second question is that my son's high school, they have this kind of like a class or program, something like that. It's like that student need to do research. It's like a research class or something. So we're looking for like a professor or like a PhD student or grad student to mentor student. So for this high school class. So I wonder if you and ma'am have those resource or not.
So each year, some of our guest speakers will be from the University of Minnesota, and a lot of our instructors for each of the weeks will be from our students, or graduate students, or professors from the university as well. So through this camp, they will make connections with university professionals that are doing research or contributing to the research community here. We can also are happy to discuss with your student and provide them some opportunities or at least some resources to help too.
Yeah, I'll just add that it's not unprecedented that a student took advantage of those networking opportunities and developed a relationship with either one of the industry speakers or one of the university faculty members. But that's it's informal, and a lot of it depends upon the proactiveness of the student.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a former teacher, I'm really good with wait time, so any other questions that you might have?
There's a chat.
Yep. Do our final projects have to be made from scratch?
It depends on what you mean by scratch. Throughout the entire week, you will be working with code, with some starter code. We'll be talking about, you'll be implementing lots of examples in the lecture sections and in the activities. But most students end up using a lot of the resources they developed themselves for the final project. And so they will be using things that they've been working on throughout the week and like transferring those over onto the new data set that they're doing for their final project. But you will be creating a new document yourself. You'll be creating everything in theory from scratch there, but you'll be using all of the resources you have for the entire week to do it.
Yeah, I would just add that on the final projects, there's different levels of difficulty, and the students tend to self-select into that. So we have some final projects that are a little bit more, laid out where the path is laid out, how to do it is kind of laid out. But we also have had many very interesting final projects where the students got ambitious, came up with their own idea and went and found their own data. Much more challenging, but yeah, that's, and everything in between.
Do students need to bring their own computer?
Nope, there are computers in the labs that we encourage students to use.
Great questions, everyone.
Yeah, we should have put that in the fact because we get that question every year, multiple times.
We will update
Missed,
the
missed that,
FAQ
missed
on the
that one.
slide deck. That's awesome. Well, if there are no more questions, I don't see anything else in the chat. We really, really appreciate your time being here today, learning more about Under the Hood, machine learning and AI for summer 2026. Like I said, the registration link will be live later this week or early next week. I think it's later this week. So just keep an eye out for it, and we'll see your students then. Thank you, everybody. Oh, wait a minute. A quick question. Do students need to possess vast AI knowledge?
Short answer, no. You're joining the camp to learn about AI. So we don't assume that you know much about it coming in.
Awesome. And there's one more question. And as I'm new to the university within the past few months, a really good question that I can't answer right now.
I'll answer.
Cancellation
I'll
policy.
answer this because I've had to deal with this over the years. So we have to order the food for catering in advance, usually about a week. So if you cancel up to a week before, we usually can arrange full refunds. It becomes a little more difficult after that, after that. So if somebody cancels like on, after the first day, it's difficult for us to fully refund since most of what we're charging is actually helping to cover the meals.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome to everybody who asked questions. Thank you so much. Again, Looking forward to this wonderful event this summer, and thank you for attending today. All right, awesome. Thanks, everybody.